I will present myself a bit. So I'm Amir Jabala. I'm working in Société Générale since 2007. I started my career as a developer, like many here in the room. Then as a technical analyst, then as a manager, then as a head of competency center, and now as a leading the digital transformations for the corporate and business in banking in Asia. And as OSPO director, I'm here to talk about our journey and how, in fact, we were able to tackle a bit of the drawbacks that were, in fact, limiting us to do open source. So Société Générale is a French bank. It's one of the leading banks in Europe. We are mainly, in fact, three kinds of activities. French retail banking, so with a lot of branches in France, like HDFC here. We are doing as well international retail banking. So we are located in more than 67 countries. And we are doing as well global banking and investor solutions, which is mainly corporate investment in banking and market asset management and such kind of activities. So we have our core values: team spirit, innovations, responsibility, and commitment. And as you can see on the left for you, we are a big fan of rugby. So you know we are a big supporter of rugby, and the rugby is just starting, in fact, now in Japan. So before digging, I want just to give you a bit of disclaimer, mainly two disclaimers, okay? So just to set the expectation. So this is not an ultimate guide how, in your company, you will be able to sell open source culture or to incentivize open source culture. This is not a recipe book. This is not how-to, okay? But at least it's our journey that I will share with you. And maybe you will find some insights that you can reuse in your company. Another disclaimer is the journey is very long, okay? To convince your leadership, it's very long. So, and we are not at Google or at Microsoft or at Facebook. We are still a French bank trying to change the mindset and trying to do something around open source. So, just come back. Back in 2013, when I had this idea to propose to my management, let's do open source, what was the answer? What do you think was the answer? Yeah, such kinds of things. What about security? Someone said no. So basically the answer was, Amir, when was the last time a bank gave you something for free? You're right. So my manager, in fact, said exactly where in fact, you are thinking that. So set exactly the expectation to say it will be very difficult, in fact, and it's more or less no. So the story could just stop there. Okay, I receive a no, which is impossible, we never did it, so go back to your BAU and do something else, basically. So let's have a look deeply on the context. In 2013, so we are a bank, so any data, any source code, line of code that go out from our network is considered as data breach, data leakage. So it's impossible. Security says, no, you cannot do that. We are far from open banking. We are far from open API, open data. We are still not there. Next one is a lot of employees, close to 1.40 lakh of employees. So those employees, you have managers, you have traders, you have sales, you have developers, obviously, architects, a lot of SMEs. So when you put 10 people, 10 SMEs in a room, you have one issue to fix. How many solutions you will get out of this meeting? 10 solutions. So next one is the organization. Many layers, many silos. So we are a big company again. So this is not helping to talk to each other. What this is leading to is to do reinventing the wheel from one silo to another one inside the company, redoing and redoing again and again, duplicated. And sometimes you even have such kind of organizations. That's what I name, in fact, the diamond pattern. So diamond pattern basically is easier. This is another talk, but I will just introduce you. There is a manager asking to his direct, give me an information, a technical information, and usually, in fact, the manager, what they say, go to the same guy, asking him the same information 3 times, 4 times, 10 times, and that guy has just to answer, in fact, all those guys. You know, in fact, as SMEs in the room, what I'm talking about. But let's go back to the talk. So basically, if we combine all of this, you can see it's maybe not the right time, in fact, to talk to open source. It's not maybe the right time to do open source for us. So basically, why, in fact, not, instead of us doing open source, bringing open source to us? And then I will talk about inner source. So inner source, basically, is just taking the open source practices and apply the open source practices internally in your company. So there, I have two choices. First choice is to go to my management, again, or my top management, to say, we need a top-down approach. Everyone should do inner source. Or to do a bottom-up approach. That is the one that I have chosen. So, as a part of the technical architecture committee, I was able to see all the new projects and to review all the new projects with my architects peers. And I have discovered, after a few weeks, meetings after meeting, there is 1 project, 2 projects, 3 projects, talking about the same technologies that they want to bring inside the organizations, new technologies. At that time, it was Active Pivot. I don't know if some of you are familiar with Active Pivot. It's basically a real-time cube, real-time data cube. So they wanted to, they had some use cases, okay, so fair enough, validated. You can use this technology. The architecture as validated. So those guys came from different parts of the organizations. So then there is a ring that bell in my mind to say, why in fact we not share around this technology and to learn from each other? And maybe to collaborate and to build something together. So I met those guys, I proposed them the idea. I was quite, in fact, motivated to say, okay, why not? Let's meet, let's do it. Next step, talk to their management agreement. I need 1 hour fortnightly of your guy. Okay, let's do it, why not? 1 hour is very cheap, actually. So now we have a community. We have an internal community that is meeting 1 hour, 30 minutes demo, 30 minutes experience and knowledge sharing. How did you upgrade the last version of Active Pivot? How did you fix that bug? How did you manage the migrations? And such kind of thing happen regularly. And one time, after a couple of months, one guy say, hey, basically, guy, I have something to show you. I have developed the monitoring of the cube. Basically, the cube that monitors the cube, technical one. And the other one, from the other teams, was saying, okay, I'm interested by that. Why not, in fact, give it to us instead of us in another silo redoing it from scratch? So wasting of money, wasting of time. So they said, okay, but we need a bit of time, we need a CapEx to do it and refactorize and to it configurable. Because as of now, in fact, it's plugged in our project, so it's very specific to our project, and we need to make it, in fact, specific agnostics. So they came to me, they said, Amir, now we need a platform. We need somewhere we are able to collaborate, to do some code. Okay, meeting fortnightly, it was good. But now, in fact, we need to develop together in the same project. At that time, what was, in fact, our landscape of source code management, SVN, CM Synergy, ClearCase, so, and CVS as well a bit. So not so collaborative tools. So at that time, I said, okay, we need GitHub. We need GitHub Enterprise inside our network. So, and there the challenge was not so more to convince my management to purchase, in fact, GitHub, because it's license-based, but more to put GitHub in the middle of the organization, not only for this team, but for the whole Society Generale. There, it took me 1 year approximately to convince all the different head of that GitHub is the way to go, collaboration, inner source, stop reinventing the wheel, we need to change the culture. The culture, internal culture, need to change. We need to collaborate more. We need to stop wasting our money. Then, we were able to set it up. We were able, that project used GitHub to collaborate. And then many other projects was able to use it. And now we have more than 7,000 employees using GitHub in a daily basis inside our organization. So how I was able to sell GitHub? Because basically when you come with something that is, you need to pay, there is not an alternative, a free alternative. I think you all have the name in mind. But basically, in fact, it's very collaborative. And in 2014, it was very, in fact, well received by the developers and very famous and very known by the developer. Today, it's even more. And the brand value of GitHub at that time was very, very high. Today is even higher. But what we want to do is to attract the better talent. And if you want to attract the better talent, you need to propose them the better tools, okay? So same synergy, SVN, sorry, but no, it's not anymore. So we need to move out from that. So this was, in fact, the way that we were able to put inner source, and now we are doing open source. We are even building our digital transformation stacks, so frameworks, common frameworks and common platforms in inner source. All the companies collaborating to build our big data, our data lake, sorry, our data science automation, our continuous delivery platform, all the stacks that are in fact co-constructed, the workflow as well, between silos, between entities. Before, what we used to do is each one will reinvent the wheel. So this was very important and very key in our story, because now we have built a track record, okay? We are successful at it. And we have proven that we are able to collaborate. Previously, it was not the case. So let's go back and talk about open source. I went back to my boss 2 years after, and I told him, don't you think that now we can do open source? That we have proven that it brings value inside the organization? Say, okay, maybe, yeah, okay. So let's do it in the other way. I did a bottom-up approach. Now I will do a top-down approach. For a top-down, when you go to your senior leadership, you need to come up with a strategy. You not just not come up with an idea. It will be very, in fact, well received. So your senior leadership, or at least our senior leadership, was expecting a strategy. I declined this strategy in 3 axes. And on each axis, I will translate the way that I present the information. First axis was use open source. You will tell me, okay, everyone is using open source, there is not a big deal. What do you mean by use open source? The point there was not just I want to use open source or my team want to use open source. I want the bank use open source. I want the bank use open source first. And not anymore, in fact, big names that I will not say there. But for instance, we have now some project and program running to replace something by PostgreSQL. You know what is something. And we have the same things for Windows. You have anything, in fact, that is there. So, but I twisted and translated the argument to say we need to reduce our vendors' dependency. And that is something that talked to the senior leadership to say, okay, we'll reduce our licenses, our licenses cost. That was one. Second pillar, contribute. So contribute back to the community. Is it something that will talk to your management? We are not, NGO, so contribute back because we are using open source since years. Everyone is using open source. We are leveraging on open source. We are leveraging on the time that people are spending on some very concrete frameworks for free. So if you present it this way, it will not work. You have to say, contribute back to be more efficient. How? till now, what we do is when there is anything missing in a piece like, I don't know, AngularJS or something else, we take the code of AngularJS, we put it inside our network, and we add the features, because we are not able to push outbound our network. So we have a duplication. So we have a framework that we have duplicate internally. We are maintaining our this code base with some of our customs. That could be good features, that could be good bug fixes, but we are not able to push it back. So there is operational risks there, because you are just diverging from, you are just forking, actually. That is one. Second point is all this code base that maybe 10 or 5% is ours, and the 95% is the open source community. So we are maintaining something internally, so it's costly, so we are wasting money. So this is something that ring a bell, and to say, okay, we are going to contribute back. And last is attract. Attract talent, attract people. How I was able to twist this argument is what to say, back in my studies, during my study, companies that are allowing me to do open source. It was quite interesting at that time to say, why are you targeting only that one? Because when I develop something in this company, I want to continue to develop it, because it's my baby. It's something that I started there. I don't want the code to be inside their network and not anymore being able to show it. If I invest myself in this code, I want to be able to continue and to continue to invest in this project after. Okay, quite interesting, very good. Why not? So that means that today, in our bank, those guys are not coming to work for us, as we are not providing open source facilities. So this is as well was ringing a bell to the senior leadership to say, okay, so we are missing a part of the diversity, and those guys are quite good at what they are doing, so let's do open source. So the senior leadership was very convinced, and the whole bank was convinced to do open source now. So we have started in 2016, last 15, early 16, a program with on those 3 axes, with some target, and we work on it. We were able as well to contribute with our compliance, our security department, our legals, our communications department as well. So it's becoming, in fact, more and more important in the company, and now it's a part of our IT strategy, like digital transformations, like cloud transformations, and continuous delivery and DevOps transformation as well. Open source, it's at the same level. So, quite good. Now, I will share with you maybe a bit of successes and what challenges are still there. So as a success, thanks to that, we were able to demonstrate that we are able to collaborate inside the organization, inside the company. That was not the case, even if there are still some room that we can improve, but now at least we are able to co-construct and co-develop common heritage for the company, common assets for the company. Our digital transformations is now stacks and common, as I said, I told you, our digital transformations assets, which were AG Workflow, AG Data, AG Continuous Delivery, are now fully inner sourced. That means anyone in the company can collaborate and can enrich, in fact, those assets and many other projects. We do have in GitHub.com an organization, so Société Générale. I can welcome you, in fact, and invite you to join us and to try to see what we have already, in fact, bootstrapped there and outbound some projects that you are welcome to contribute to. Since March 2019, we have started the OSPO, so Open Source Program Office, to settle these roles and to do it at scale. So we are trying, in fact, to securize everything, to industrialize, in fact, the way that people, our employees, are able to do open source and to contribute back to the community. The challenges. As the challenges, we still have many private repositories inside our organization. So why? the mindset has to evolve, obviously. So we are doing a lot of communication, a lot of hands-on sessions and that kind of thing. But we have maybe 1/3 of our repositories, 4,000 repositories that we do have internally in our GitHub enterprise that are still private. Some of them will tell you, okay, I have my secret management that are not managed. So I have my password in clear, such kind of thing. So not good, okay. So you have a vault? No? Okay, let's go for the next one. It's just a pet shop project. I don't need to put it public. I want just to keep it private. And I don't want other people to steal my idea. So you see. So there is still, in fact, a room of improvement and a lot of work to do to make all the repositories public, or at least the majority of our repositories public in our internal GitHub. Another challenge that we are facing right now is specifically, in fact, at that time of the year, October. What is October time for some of you? SER time. So performance review. When performance review came, all the common assets, common projects, or all the people that are working on those one, retract from those one and work on their project or the project for their manager to show, okay, I'm doing great things. Look, give me my bonus. So that means we have still an improvement to do in our incentive model. The incentive model is still too much vertical. We need to change it to more horizontal, or at least to put in the performance review and performance management review the open source and common asset of the bank, not only the businesses projects and the vertical projects, you see. So this is something that we are trying to as a pilot this year to change. We are working on the reward and recognition. I will be very pleased to exchange with you if you already face such kind of situations in your company, and we'll learn from you. So, 12 o'clock and close to 12:30. So it's lunchtime, usually in France. Let's wrap up with a dosa. So, you have a vision, you have a dream, you have an idea for your company. Don't present your idea like, in fact, you will talk to your friend. Try to put your feet in the shoes of the people that you are talking to, and especially the ones that decide, so your stakeholders, your leadership. So tweak, translate the way that you present the things. Start small, baby steps. Okay? Start very small. That is not, in fact, overnight that you will change everything. It's a long journey. Surround yourself with believers, people that believe in your idea. So early adopters, they will help you. Definitely, there is a lot of people motivated by such kind of ideas. You will succeed not alone. You will succeed collectively. You see that you saw, sorry, that I melt, in fact, the top-down approach and the bottom-up approach. So that was something that was quite successful. I didn't start with top-down only. I tried to merge both, and it was working. And last but not least, because it took us 5 years, never give up. Never give up. Thank you. The question was, in Germany, Munich, I think, there is a company that went through this journey, doing the government do this open source journey, and then reverse back to something very closed and no more open source. It's happened many times, and it's due to habits. So we have set this open source program office in order to try to change the mindset and to do some regular communication, in fact, survey and reward people that are doing open source and that are collaborating inside the organization. So we have two axes that we want to develop and to push this year, thanks to the OSPO. One is the inner source. We want to see more and more people collaborating inside the organizations, and we want to make them visible. Okay, those guys need to be visible and talk about their experience and how, in fact, they were able to collaborate together. That is one. Second point is open source. It's a more tricky question, but we are trying to secure and to do it not at scale. We are not targeting to do many repositories, to put a lot of our code base. We want to put only the ones that are providing value to us and that could provide value to others. So that's why, in fact, we pick and choose only the ones that we think that are valuable. And so that's why we are going really slowly, but it's on purpose. We are not going to have such kind of approach. Everything must be open source. It's not the way that we are looking at it.
Do you think that there could be, do you think that there's a possibility in the future to have the entire core banking system based on open source? And what are the challenges related to security or data privacy?
Based on open source, we have already leveraging a lot of open source. We have Docker, Hadoop, Hadoop, AngularJS, React. We are using a lot of open source already inside our core banking system. Because I'm coming from the corporate investment banking, I'm not talking about retail, so where in fact you have still some mainframes and such kind of thing. But in corporate investment banking, we have a lot of usage of open source. And your second question?
Related to data security.
Yeah. So
what are the challenges you see?
So on data security, and we are engaged in digital transformations. That means that we are trying to leverage as much as possible on APIs to be able to communicate internally in our system, communicate thanks to APIs, but as well with our partners, our legals, hedge funds. We are exposing some APIs as well at that level. And our APIs are secured thanks to ForgeRock that we are using as well internally. And we have our system, cybersecurity, and such kind of things. So we are not going to put anything sensitive outside the organizations. And that's why we do have, in fact, the OSPO that is there to review what is exactly the code base that it's pushed outbound the organizations and to try to avoid such kind of threat. There is another question there?
So actually, it's a correction. The gentleman who spoke about the situation in Munich, it's actually completely wrong what he said. So about 10 years ago, the government of the city of Munich decided that they would give all of their employees, everybody, open office in place of Microsoft Office as a way to save money. So there's no internal open source development there at that time, no open source project development, no involvement of developers. It was simply an end user decision which failed because they weren't able to train the people properly.
Okay, thank you for correction.
Hey, which are the top open source projects your company contribute most?
Good question. Recently, we contributed back to HBase, so Hadoop HBase. That was one of the big contributions. In fact, we were able to improve the performance of an algorithm, basically, and other things as well. And we contribute back to ArcUnit. I don't know if you know ArcUnit. Basically, it's a framework that is able to, where you are able to set some architecture's rules in your code. And that's a good story because one of our developers that was using that, in fact, internally, has discovered that there is a Maven plugin missing. The Maven plugin doesn't exist for this framework. So he contacted the owner, the maintainers of ArcUnit, proposing, if I develop the Maven plugin, will you get it, take it and add it to your code base, in fact, for the community? And he said yes. And it was a quite interesting collaboration. And now, in fact, there is a Maven plugin written by Société Générale for this project. So such kind of thing was not possible 5 years back. And there is other projects that I don't recall, but we are doing, I will not say too much project. Again, maybe 10 contributions a year. But again, we come from something that was very close and forbidden to now being able to experiment and to do it. So we just want to do it properly and to try to create a relationship and a trust relationship, a trusted one, between the community and us, which is not always easy, obviously, but that's why we go step by step.